California Edition. I'm Brad Pomerance. We are joined by Steve Gesell. He is the police chief for San Luis Obispo. It's hard to deny it's a beautiful town, a majestic town, and a college town.
It is a college town.
And what does that mean for the chief of police?
Well, it means that it adds a dynamic that's not an anomaly for college towns.
Right.
And that really consists of different lifestyles. Some
No.
of those lifestyles clash, believe
Yes.
it or not. Yeah.
Yeah, there's no doubt that a college student's lifestyle really kind of starts, 12 o'clock noon to maybe 12 midnight, whereas,
Right.
for adults, it's a little different, maybe, 9 o'clock to 9 o'clock. So you have, probably that 9 to 12. That can be a tricky time for the police with noise.
The two don't match. There's no doubt about it.
So what do you do about it?
Well, I think San Luis is extremely progressive in the way that we've focused on really the quality of life in our neighborhoods, particularly in the peripheral neighborhoods around the university. We're very, very proud to say that noise complaints, which is a perennial issue,
Right.
very frustrating for our permanent residents, but those noise complaints, due to a lot of these initiatives and collaboration as of late with the university specifically, have reduced the number of noise complaints since 2010 about 30%. So
Which is
we're pretty
remarkable
happy.
because the population is constantly changing. So
Right.
it's not as if you can kind of change attitudes. Every year you're getting new students and new students
Sure.
are graduating out. So somehow the zeitgeist, I guess you can say, is shifting.
Right, we're the city of perpetual youth.
Right,
About-
well stated, right.
35% of our residents are between the ages of 18 and 25, and so that's a pretty remarkable number.
And the other challenge is the university is not in city jurisdiction.
That's correct.
So I presume most of the students are living off campus, at least those not part of dorm life, and so that's in your jurisdiction. But it can cause some challenges, I presume.
Most of the adverse impacts from that clash
Right.
in lifestyle certainly occur off campus.
That being said, if you buy a home near Cal Poly, you got to know what you're getting into. So, and I assume the real estate prices demonstrate that. I mean, it's probably a little cheaper to live near Cal Poly because noise is a question. No?
Sure. Well, I would think that most real estate agents inform their
Right.
clients on wherever the house may
Right.
be, and certainly if there's those types of issues, ideally you'd hope to get that
Right.
information.
So I just wonder though, is it really fair for these noise complaints to be flooding in when in the end, you got what you pay for, you know what you got yourself into if you buy a home?
Well, it goes back to, do we really want to sequester
Right.
part of the city
I
and
got
make
it.
this an Isla Vista, which I think I don't really think that
Well stated.
translates to San Luis Obispo. And you've got residents that have been in those neighborhoods for years and years
Right.
and years, and let's just face it, it's not fun living next to a kegger
Right.
every night. It's just not, it's
or
not
could
fun.
be, but that's another conversation. I want to ask you, this was fascinating to me, that we know that the perpetrator of the noise complaint can be cited, but if the perpetrator is a renter, does the landlord have liability?
That's a great question, and that is one of our initiatives that has really brought down the number of noise complaints. Is what we started doing as City Council enacted an ordinance that allows us to cite the landlord as well.
How do the landlords feel about that?
Well, it's been in place for a couple of years now,
Right.
and we really believe that's one of the principal drivers that has reduced the number of noise complaints, because what the landlords will do now is they build it into their lease agreements. So if they get fined, ultimately the lease agreement many times will come back on the renter.
His name is Steve Gesell. He is the chief of police for San Luis Obispo. He recently took a trip to Israel with the Anti-Defamation League. The next time he joins us, he's going to talk about that trip, which I'm very excited to hear about. I can only imagine the insight you receive from a trip like that, a nation that has such security needs. My name is Brad Pomerance. I want to thank you so much for watching California.